justinbarkley.com and put in your name and your email so you can get my good newsletter so we can stay in touch no matter what happens. Our show is starting soon. Thanks for watching today, the behind the scenes live stream. The show is starting soon. Here we go. Get ready. Hey, it's Justin Barkley, and the show, the behind the scenes live stream, is starting soon. We bring you all of the action behind the scenes of the radio show and the after show podcast, and all of it from right here. Don't go anywhere. We're starting soon. TikTok, here we go. The time is ticking away. The show about to start soon.
Live from high atop Monroe Center in downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Welcome in. Well, another bit of a hot one before the cool downs. Some haze in the air. Temps climbing, 73, should get up, 85. Later on, we'll have the details on that. Maybe some rain headed our way. The full scoop and story coming up. Plus, today, how do you protect yourself? It seems like it's story after story we hear. Would be knife, gun, people getting beat up on the street. How do you protect yourself in today's day and age, all the craziness? That coming up from a man who knows a thing.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now today's Big Three.
Brought to you by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage. Dave Galloway and the team standing by, ready to help you. Whether you're going to buy, refinance, home equity, line of credit, they can help you at hhmlending.com. They've done that for us. And many others who listen to this program. And by the way, every time we've done this, we save thousands. Dave and the crew always. Faster than the big banks, easier to work with, and we love them. They support this program, and we think you ought to reach out and just say hi and thank you.
Number one.
I know he'd appreciate it. Well, it's a big one. They got another one, folks. A second Venezuelan gang member nabbed here in Michigan. While you're hearing stories about the Maryland band and all the rest of it, they are grabbing these folks, and it was the Michigan State Police who got this one. In fact, he was caught with drugs, I think it was, all kinds of fake IDs and a license plate that just didn't check. Alleged to be a member of Venezuela's notorious Trinidad gang, intensifying concerns about that cartel-linked crime here happening in the state. The suspect apprehended in Ottawa County, reportedly in the U.S. illegally, tied to human trafficking, violent crimes, and more. Police say the arrests highlighting growing threats from transnational gangs exploiting the southern border crisis and investigations ongoing into the group's operations here in Michigan. The second one is
Number two.
in custody, and thankfully so. That is some good news. Massive magnitude 8.8 earthquake striking off Russia's coast, triggering tsunami warnings. For Hawaii and Northern California, Hawaii experienced 4 to 10 foot waves, causing evacuations and gridlock traffic. Warnings later downgraded to an advisory wave, but we've got some of the videos coming in fact, from Russia, which are wild to watch. These waves are massive. Exactly where this is in Russia. Somewhere off the coast. In the region they're impacted by it. We're praying for folks that it looks like we're through the worst of it. That's a good piece of good news, I'd say. Would you like a check? I don't know if it's a good idea or not. It might, in fact, fund and continue to cause inflation to be an issue. But Josh Hawley, senator, saying from Missouri, yeah, I think it's time to hand out tariff relief checks and rebate checks, actually. Not relief, but rebate checks. In other words, we're taking in so much money right now from foreign countries. Hawley saying he'd like to see it. Introducing a bill to send a rebate check to you, me, and many others. the American Worker Rebate Act, proposing that tariff. It'd be $600 per adult and dependent, and I think a max of like $2,400. I like the idea of getting a check in the mail, but I kind of feel like, and I saw a comment, I think it was on X when I posted it this morning. Was it Donnie who said this? Donnie's good point. He said, it's a kind of, Donnie Detroit. And then contribute to inflation, and Trump will be blamed by Democrats. Stupid vote buying idea that I expect from Democrats, not the GOP. Interesting. Yeah. And I kind of was my first apprehension on it, but remember Musk floated it and Democrats sort of scoffed at that idea. And then you're seeing some of that back and forth online. Where's their tariff? Where's my tariff check? Turns out they're bringing in so much money, you might actually be able to get one.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Commentary, and it happens quite often online during our live stream, because we do this on Facebook, on Rumble, on X, all the usual suspects. We stream the show on YouTube now, too. So if you want to watch this live, the behind-the-scenes live stream, what we're actually doing here, you can. You can see it. But the commentary is even better. It's even better. Yeah, you love, I definitely have a face for radio. And I love showing videos and things like that, and it's kind of funny to see some of the things that are happening while we're off the air and whatnot. But the best part is the commentary that happens from the folks in the chat. Chat today riled up. Deanne suggested, no. Use it to pay down the debt. Probably a suggestion that might be popular, and I hear that one too. I just don't know if it's enough to make a dent in the debt. So interesting thoughts on it all this morning, and of course a chance to weigh in on it if you'd like. That's the phone number, 616-774-2424, or you can also use the iHeart Radio app, that little microphone button right next to the play button, and get into the conversation that way as well. Sound off. Here's what we have happening today. By the way, Jerome Powell and the Fed wrapping up another two-day conference, a meeting there. Unlikely to cut rates this time around, but that's another big story that we're keeping an eye on and what it might do for the market as well. Of course, Trump laying the smackdown on Powell for the last several months, trying to get it done, trying to call him too late, Powell. Get it done. Let's make sure we get it done. We got tariffs. We got everything in the world, the manufacturing, the investments coming back in, which are just wild to watch, and what kind of an impact that might have. I loved it. And yesterday we got so much that came in. In fact, from the folks who just could not believe how well things were working when it came to the tariffs and some of the deals that were getting done, particularly in Europe. They've really had to come around and say, this is just amazing. We can't believe it, folks in CNN and some of the other. In fact, we talked about that yesterday in the the after show. And so there are a number of things happening, these deals happening behind the scenes. But the best piece, and I saw this, somebody had sent it to me. This is a fantastic description of what's actually happening. Carl Meta is his name. Carl saying that Scotland meeting just changed everything, and nobody saw it coming. Trump and von der Leyen announcing a 15% tariff deal, but that's just a cover story. The real deal was never about tariffs. The real deal is something much bigger. In fact, it is the investment here in the United States. Talking about all the money flowing in and what it actually means, how they're going to really hold Europe to this. And there are other countries that are in this too, in Asia and some of the other places in Europe we've already seen. But Europe agreeing to spend $1.4 trillion with America over the next 3 years, $750 billion in American energy purchases, $600 billion in additional U.S. investments. Numbers are just staggering, he says. That 15% tariff everyone's focused on, it's higher than the pre-2024 levels, but it avoids the economic chaos both sides were staring at. Trump originally threatening the 30%, then escalated to 50%, and you probably remember hearing and seeing some of that back and forth. And this is actually what happened.
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. We have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Really interesting that she made that point. Yes, it is. It is. We were staring down even bigger numbers. The strategic masterstroke, he says, most people missing. Certain sectors got complete exemptions from tariffs. Aircraft and components, semiconductor equipment, critical chemicals, some agricultural products. Not random, they're strategic supply chains. And the media focusing on the tariff headlines. Trump able to actually secure something far more valuable, a guaranteed customer for American energy exports and infrastructure. And, of course, all of this, just really, you're not getting a full picture or understanding if you watch the nightly news or CNN, MSDNC 13, whatever it might be. You're just not going to get it. And what he's actually been able to do it's incredible. A framework other countries are now desperate to replicate. They're all coming to the table. Speed is shocking, Carl said. Just months ago, we were staring at potential trade warfare. European companies face supply chain chaos. Markets in panic mode. Now, both sides have a predictable framework they can plan around. It completely creates a completely new template for international relations. Instead of traditional diplomacy, Trump is using commercial to play a deal maker. Well, it's no wonder. He is a businessman. He's a deal maker. And this is how he gets deals done. It's probably no surprise, no shock for you and I to watch. But the rest of the world, buckle up, hold on. More of this. And yeah, we got some updates. Folks have been speaking out from the Walmart attack over the weekend. We're hearing from all sides, folks who are involved in helping subdue that suspect, but also the family of the suspect talking about, which I can understand their frustrations, the years trying to get this guy help and why he wasn't locked up. They really speaking out about this. You want to hear it coming up. We'll give you that opportunity after this. Back with you next.
Focused on what matters to you. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 30th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel continues her campaign to kill a West Michigan coal plant, and she's now appealing to a Washington, D.C. court. Meanwhile, the Department of Energy cites the need to minimize the risk of blackouts here in Michigan and address critical grid security issues during the summer heat wave. It's another Midwesterner.news original story for you. Under Governor Whitmer's leadership here in Michigan, roads remain ranked 40th nationally for a second year in a row. This in stark contrast to Whitmer's campaign promise to fix the damn roads. And U.S. Border Patrol agents arrest yet another Tren de Aragua gang member in Shelby Township. This, at least the third arrest this month of an illegal alien affiliated with a foreign terrorist organization. For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio.
All right, good morning, folks. Welcome into the Freedom Fam VIP. We'll start with the folks listening on locals. Hey, by the way, I saw there was an issue with the video stream. I think it may have been just Facebook, but it looks like it's cleared up. I just checked, and it looks like everything should be fine. But let me know if you're having any issues, lagging, or blurriness in the video feed this morning. I don't know that there's much I can do. Everything looks good, but you just never know. Kelly, good morning. Good to see you. Andrew Stuff, my good friend Terry, good to see you. JKF, Tim the Road King, Shara Panda. Did I say Shara? I said Sharon. Carla, good to see you too. How are you? Carla Wagner hanging out with us this morning. Gritter's in the house, and so many. Cook Garden, so many others. Salo Sue, Hemi, Jer Bear, lots of folks hanging out this morning in the behind the scenes live stream over in the VIP in the Freedom Fam on Rumble. We got a crew as always, the Rumblers. Rumble. Nancy, good to see you, Jay. Horcho Whiskers, Sneeboard, Jen Lynn, Tree Frog, Trish in progress, Darkhawk. Good to see you too. Appreciate you. Sheila as well, jumping in this morning and on Facebook, the Bookers. Dink, good to see you. Morning for Waterloo, Illinois. Appreciate you joining us. What does D.C. have to do with Michigan's coal plant? Melissa asked. Trump signed an executive order. I don't know if it's the EPA or the Department of Energy. They were going to shut that coal plant down in West Olive. And they said, no, you can't do that. Keep it online. Consumers Energy, I think, is the ones who wanted to shut it down. So Nestle is suing to have the thing shut down. But meanwhile, by the way, you remember how hot it's been? Keeping the air conditioner on and everything else? It'd be a heck of a time doing it if we don't have this power plant up and running. Karen, good to see you. Linda, Tom, thank you so much. Booyakacha. Marilyn. Barb, over on the YouTube. John, we appreciate you joining us as well. Katie, Chuck, Keith, and so many others. Back on the air here. Stand by, folks. Okay. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-bum. Yeah, I got to cue this up for you. Make sure you click and share today. Got something good. We're going to give, I think I've got a nice, actually, I got some news. I got some breaking news I got to share. Not just, it's not, but I do have some breaking news for you that I want to share. Stand by. Here we go. Back on the air. Click share. Help us get the word out. Break the algorithm. Facebook, Rumble, and more.
It's put our family through hell. There's nothing available, and there has been nothing available. There's only temporary spots for him, and he would get into a temporary spot, get medicated for a little bit, and start doing really good. Showed good signs to the doctors, and they said, "Well, we have no reason to hold him. We're trying to track him down. We got police looking for him for wellness checks." We'll get calls in the middle of the night from the police in Pennsylvania that he's running down the highway naked. After 28 years of witnessing his ups and downs and his disconnection to reality, and talking about whether it be alien abductions or, chickens being spayed or neutered or something like that, like, what are you talking about, man? This is a true insanity case. This has just gone on so far and so long that like I said, you can't throw any more flags. You can't wave any more signals. You can't make any more smoke signals. Like, there's been fire here for so long. The families that have all been involved and the witnesses and everything, again, a big apology from my heart. All I can say is we've tried to get this under wraps for a very, very long time, and we've just been ignored.
That is B.J. Gilly's brother, Shane, the man responsible, B.J., for the stabbing mass attack there at Walmart in Traverse City over the weekend. Shane, you can hear the frustration in his voice, and understandably, they've gone. And how many families are like that? Try to do everything and everything they can, but they're just unable to get these folks the help that they need. Now, again, this is going to become top of, I think, conversation, because President Trump just signed that executive order asking for more help, and also providing, it looks like, some resources from the federal government. We had the police chief here, Eric Winstrom, in Grand Rapids just the other day talking about how they were about to have to roll back some of the efforts they had to help with the homeless. You know, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, a lot of the, let's just call them sort of the liberal, well, they're city areas, right? This is where these people congregate because they're getting fed and all the other stuff. And I'm glad, I'm not saying I don't want people to be fed. That's not what I'm saying. But what I do want them to do is I want them to be helped. And the compassion, really, that question is, in a situation, how compassionate is it to not get the guy the permanent help that they need? It's that, to me, is downright criminal. And of course, these folks get left in the wake of all of this. And now we're seeing it in this particular case and many others where it's spilling over into everyday life at a Walmart in Traverse City, of all places, the other day. Who knows how many other scenarios. You saw it happen in New York City. There was another issue there with that man who drove across the country from Nevada to go to New York City, of all places, to open fire on a number of folks there in that high rise. And of course, it's every other day we've got another story that's like this. So how do you take care of it? Well, the Trump administration, those folks taking a closer look at it. At least you've got a better shot at getting something actually done here in that case. So we'll keep an eye on it. But the details continue to come out the more and more. Again, the guy dug up graves and they let him go. They said he's too insane. We're just going to let him go. They let him go. They were trying to find him the day that he was able to attack those folks at the Walmart in Traverse City. It's just incredible. More on that, but more importantly, how do you protect yourself and your family in situations like this? We saw one man, good guy with a gun, a Marine, as well as others, jump in and stop this from getting any worse. We'll talk about how to protect your family and more coming up. A man who knows a thing or two about the subject joining us right after this. Don't go anywhere. It could save lives.
Wherever you are, stream us on your smartphone. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One, is back in.
All right, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you for clicking share on all of the platforms. That helps us get the word out about what's going on here. CNBC mercilessly mocking Democrats. Now, it looks like this is interesting. On some of the numbers that are coming out. In fact, this happens to be a GDP report. Let's get to this. Just come out today.
The left and people that don't like the president and don't want things to work. And, like Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say, inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. This 3% with the market at new highs, and really we haven't seen inflation, go up back to 3%. Maybe it will this week. Maybe we'll see it. But none of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening. It's amazing.
Well, there's an important lesson there. Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager. That's what I would say. But in the end, Congress has their own reasons to point out certain things. And the Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success. We're seeing more horsepower. We're seeing better equities. Inflation really hasn't changed much in the last year or so.
The left and people that...
Interesting to watch. And they're right. Since Trump has come into office, we've seen everything level out, quite frankly, at a time where all the other things, the market, everything else is jumping. You got some of those trade deals, some of those stories coming in, the tariffs, et cetera. And that helps paint the picture. Hey, I showed you the story, and speaking of mocking Democrats, let's do just that. I showed you the story this morning. They caught another one, Trinidad gang member, and I think I mistakenly told you that he was on the west side of the state. That was the first one they caught, though. This second one was on the east side of the state. I think it was Shelby Township. I'll have to go back and check that out for sure. But here they are, Democrats who deserve the mocking. It's hard to understand. They were all for masks just a few years ago. Now they are against them, for ICE anyway.
The way it is written is applying to all levels of law enforcement. They're operating in the state of Michigan, the sovereign state of Michigan. And the bottom line is that the people of Michigan, we do not want or need secret police, masked, unidentified people snatching our
secret police. It's ICE. It's Immigration's Customs Enforcement, and these are the folks who are doing the job of cleaning up the mess that Biden left.
neighbors off the street, period.
It's not my neighbors. These are invaders.
We have
This is Betsy Coffey. She's from the Traverse City region, by the way.
So the laws that are broken in Michigan, we would enforce with our law enforcement, just like any other crime. The way it is written is.
So there they want. They want no masks. These are the same people that wanted to mask everyone up, including your kids, just a couple of years back. All right, we got our guest, I think, is ready to pop in. Let me just quickly confirm, bring him on, and test the line here in just a second. Josh, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Justin. Good. How are you?
Fantastic. You look good. You sound good. I think we're going to be perfect here. Thank you so much for doing this. Hey, Josh, what is the name of your company and the website I can look up so I can share it with folks?
Yeah, so it's BPF Solutions, just www.bpfsolutions.com.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to pull it up right now. Helping businesses like yours for 30 years. I don't think that's it.
That might be the wrong one. Yeah, there's a Canadian petroleum company that does something out of Canada. Yeah, so let me make sure that you have the one from from the one here in the U.S.
BPF Sol, SOL.com?
That's it. Yep.
Perfect. Hang on one second. Josh is on with us in just a bit. Josh, a good friend. In fact, you probably saw him yesterday in that clip we played from Channel 17, where they interviewed him on what happened with the Traverse City shooting, what the good guy with the gun, Marine, did in that case to help resolve the solution. In fact, we're going to play some of that coming up here in just a second. Josh, you're good. I just took you off the screen for a moment. If you can still hear me, I'll bring you back in here in just a second. Stand by. Okay. But Josh is going to talk to us about what do you do when you're out, particularly if you're dad like me. There's a lot of places I don't go and things that we don't do. Just because I got a bad feeling about it, or I'd rather not, whatever it might be. But what do you do if you are out and you find yourself as something as simple as shopping, right, at the Walmart or Meijer or wherever you are, and chaos breaks loose? How do you protect yourself and your family? How do you protect others, if possible? These are all questions, and of course, it's not just a Walmart. We've been seeing several incidents like this lately. We had that church in Michigan. That was the other side of the state, and this was just a couple of weeks back. The church in Michigan that was attacked. Just another sad scenario, sad situation in a place that you think you're not going to see issues like this arise, and yet they did. And in New York City, this the other day. In fact, that guy that drove across the country to do what he did. It's unthinkable, and the unthinkable happens. We want to make sure that you are prepared. So we're going to walk through that with Josh here in a little bit, see if we can get all the details on how to do that. Stand by, folks. We're back on the air here in about 30 seconds. You're watching the behind-the-scenes live stream. You get to see the good, the bad, the ugly. We're setting up guests. I got a heck of an after show I got lined up for you as well. So stand by for that. Hang on. Here we go. 20 seconds left.
On Wood Radio.
A man accused of stabbing multiple people at a Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan, speaking out exclusively with ABC News.
I didn't think of anything other than trying to get him away from people and get him isolated and get him to put the knife down.
Former Marine Derek Perry says he was checking out at the Walmart Saturday afternoon when he heard a commotion.
A lady was like screaming for her son, and all the employees and patrons were clamoring, trying to run in different directions.
The suspect, 42-year-old Bradford James Gilly, fleeing to the parking lot. Perry and others dropping their groceries to surround the man. Perry pulled his gun. It's legal to open carry in Michigan.
Unfortunately, there was kind of like a mob mentality, and some very disturbing things were being said on how to deal with the situation. And I had to block all of that out and focus on him, because I ultimately just wanted him to put the knife down and back away until law enforcement got there. I did not see myself as any type of judge, jury, or executioner. I just wanted everyone to be safe.
Did he say anything to you? Were you able to kind of get a state of mind?
And I can see in his eyes that he was wild-eyed, and he did not look like he was in his right mind. And he was saying, "They told me to do it. They told me to do it, and call 911." I said, they're on their way. They're coming.
On Monday, Gilly formally charged with terrorism and 11 counts of assault with the intent to murder. He pleaded not guilty to all charges, telling a police officer before the arraignment he did not want to participate.
Do I have to do this? I don't want to.
Never once, Perry says, did he consider actually pulling the trigger.
I took time to actually look and listen and try to understand his mind state and see that, yes, I am in a position to do something very rash, but it's ultimately my decision to not do it as well. Just
think about how many lives were saved. Derek Perry, the hero, the Marine in that situation, and several others that came alongside of him. There's another Marine, in fact, with roots here, back here at home in West Michigan, that was able to step in with a grocery cart as well. Part of this conversation I wanted to have, because it's not just this story. In fact, it's stories out of places like New York City that we just saw the other day. Another man coming across the country looking to enact just chaos there. Another story out of Michigan just a couple of weeks ago where a church was targeted. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter where you go. You're out with your family. You need to know how to keep them protected. Josh Baer joins us right now. Josh is with BPF Solutions, bpfsol.com. He does trainings, teaches people how to be ready in times like this, no matter what happens with your family, to protect them or maybe be able to step in these situations. Josh, thank you so much. Good friend, by the way. Thank you for being here and talking about these things. Let me first start with this. It seems like we've seen a rise in these situations lately, like an uptick. There's mental health issues, things like that to play into it. But the truth is, we've always really needed to be prepared when we're out and about. And folks, I think, at least thinking about it a little bit more these days.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Justin.
So let's talk about what that looks like. How are you prepared? I know for you, you teach classes on this. firearm preparedness trainings. There's some other things that you can do, I'm sure, as well. But folks have different levels of how they want to go about doing it. This guy was a concealed. He had a concealed pistol permit here, so he was able to do it. I know in the ABC report there, they mentioned that Michigan isn't an open carry state. That's some maybe also help if we were a little bit more, pushed out a little bit more, and we were able to see folks walking around more often. I think you might see a few more people, a little less likely to fool around in fear that they find out. But how do you get prepared? I mean, I've gone through the training. I know it's quite extensive. People are looking at that. What is it that you would say to somebody who's looking at this thinking, man, I almost don't recognize the world in my country anymore?
Yeah. So there's a lot there to kind of unpack, how to get ready, whether that's just like you mentioned earlier, the day-to-day, you're being a father, or if you're a parent or just a single individual out and about in town. The biggest thing is situational awareness. That's what we start with our classes. That's what I recommend can always help you either be prepared in a situation or hopefully deter a situation and just avoid it entirely. So the preparation for, I guess, acquiring your CPL would, speak to someone that has it, get a little bit of a background on the requirements, then don't be afraid to reach out to an organization that is training and providing instruction for the CPL for your local state. And then, they will be able to provide you what the background requirements are, what the requirements for the class will be. And then there will also be post-class requirements, such as, submitting your application, getting fingerprinted, and at the end of the day, submitting to the state for request of that concealed pistol license.
Josh Bear with us right now, BPF Solutions, bpfsol.com, providing that training and talking us through some of this. You said situational awareness. Now, this is something I talk to my wife about quite a bit, no matter where we are. I've had this for quite a while, man. I would go into places like when my early days of rock radio and all that, we'd have to be at, bar nights and things like this. And I'd be out and, people were getting drunk and maybe I was too a little bit, but I would feel it sort of shift and the energy would change there. And it without a doubt, I would leave and then the next day I find out somebody got stabbed or a big fight broke out or maybe even there were shots fired, whatever it was. I could kind of feel the energy in the crowd changing. Now, whether it's that or you're watching and you're seeing things, our producer Adam was talking about how his dad used to train him to, when you go to the out to eat or someplace, that he would sit at a place where he could face the door. I said, was your dad a cop? Because I know a lot of cops do that. But, these are simple things. How do you, and maybe the most simplest when it comes to situational awareness, how do you teach that? How do you train that? How can people start to pick that up and really use it in their everyday life?
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Another great question. You touched on it, noticing the change in an atmosphere. We're aware, if you're not, too drunk or, just completely involved in a current task at hand, you can use your situational awareness. And what you would want to do as far as answering that question on training that is just simply not being on your phone while in public and walking around, or, not being on your phone while driving. You're situationally aware. Something that is relatable for everyone is when we're driving, we're not looking just at the car in front of us, right? For brake lights, we're looking at the car in front of them, maybe the car in front of them. We're looking around, trying to be aware of construction, things like that. So we are being aware. You want to do a very similar thing when you're out and about, whether you have a loved one with you or you're by yourself, just being aware and being intentional with what you're doing. When someone would want to, choose someone as a target, so say a scavenger or an attacker, they don't want someone that's alert, that's aware, that is intentional with what they're doing. They want someone that's distracted. They want someone that is maybe not paying attention to what's going on. Perhaps they could get closer to them. So what I tell my students to do is to teach yourself to do this, you can play a game. And that is when you're out and about, try to count the number of PC who are on their phones that are totally oblivious to the situation, right? So, and what that trains them to do is not only notice other people, but it also teaches them to look for what their hands are doing. It's very uncommon for someone to be able to manipulate their hand unless it's on Bluetooth. Manipulate a phone unless it's on Bluetooth. If you're out in public, it's in your hand. So that teaches the students to look for hands as well. What are your hands doing? What are other people's hands doing? Are they on shopping carts? If they're in Walmart, are they in their wallet or purse? Are they walking around in their pockets? So that's just, kind of like the entry level awareness steps that you can take, and then that we would also teach during a class.
Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting way to do this. Look, I know that we're barely going to be able to scratch the surface on some of this stuff. Some people like firearms. Some people like to think of other ways. Like this other Marine that assisted Derek Perry. I think he was running around with his shoes off, but he grabbed a shopping cart and was able to take the shopping cart and get ready to ram the attacker with. What are some other ways that folks can maybe consider and think about how they might be able to protect themselves in situations like this?
Yeah. And that's an incredible thing from that other, prior service member, using a cart. We talk on that as well. And sometimes that's missed. That's essentially an obstacle, or it's putting a barrier between himself and the attacker, and he's creating distance, right? So in an altercation such as this, you want to create distance. You don't want someone to be able to grab you quickly, or if they have a knife, be able to reach out and just, cause harm. So he's creating distance, plus he's using that as a corral to get him away from other possible victims. So that's big because, again, it creates space. It also gives, the defending individual time to react and let other people know and bring attention to it, that there is a situation here that could be possibly, life-altering or fatal. So being aware of the situation, being aware of different, the cart wasn't a weapon, but we talk about obstacles or objects or weapons of opportunity, right? So just if you're unarmed, or if you're just out and about and you want to create distance, shopping cart's a great thing. Your car is also another thing. So a lot of people like myself, I have a lot of children. At times I will have all of them, making sure that they're close to me so I can manage them. But also when I'm going to the car, I create a barrier. So the car that's locked is a significant barrier. So you bring your children in next to me, I open one door, lock the car again, load my children with my cart behind me. All of my children are protected, and if someone tries to get at me, I have that distance. Those are just quick, and again, just scratching the surface, opportunities and things that we have that we don't think about, that give us an opportunity to think more and create distance or prevent loss of life or harm.
Josh Pierce here with us. And, by the way, Josh, folks in the chat, in the comments now on the behind the scenes live stream are saying, hey, maybe we should do a podcast on this, go a little more in depth. I think that's a really good idea. I think there's a lot of hunger and there's a lot of people want to know, what can they do, especially as they see the world going crazy around them. Truth is, it's been headed that way for a while. It's high time that we learn how to protect ourselves and maybe others in this situation. Josh, BPF Solutions, Josh Bear, people want to get a hold of you, bpfsol.com. I know you offer training and a number of ways that they can get instruction on how to do just that. Give us an opportunity. Maybe we'll schedule some time to have Josh on for a full, long, extended conversation. Anything else before we let you go? Just about 10 seconds here, Josh.
Situational awareness is the biggest key.
There you have.
Just be aware and be alert.
And we'll try to make sure we continue to lean into that and more on the way. Josh, thank you so much. We appreciate keeping you aware of the situations going on around you and the world. That's part of what we do here. Truth, logic, and common sense. More of it, a heavy dose after this. I want to say thanks to the Good Feet store for making it possible on a daily basis to be out and about no matter where we are, shopping, on the go with the kids, playing at the playground, the beach, the cottage. Well, they help me do it pain-free. And if you've got leg pain, foot pain, backpan, maybe you've been going through the ringer. They could help you like they helped me. You know, I just took one trip into the Good Feet store and was able to get the help that I needed. It was simple. I'm pain-free today because of it. You got to walk in and try it for yourself and see how they can help you. Go to Good Feet store, and you can find out more on 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westage in front of Kohl's. Come in and experience that Good Feet feeling for yourself at the Good Feet store.
Where the truth isn't negotiable. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, July 30th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. Another traffic stop, another dangerous illegal alien arrested here in Michigan. And now he'll be sent back to his country of origin. U.S. Border Patrol finding this Tren de Aragua gang member driving in Shelby Township. Police officers pulling over the driver after spotting the car with a fake license plate on it. In other news, under Governor Whitmer's leadership here in Michigan, roads remain ranked 40th nationally for a second year in a row. This in stark contrast to Whitmer's campaign promise to fix the damn roads. And President Trump speaking with reporters on Air Force One as he returns to the U.S. from Scotland. The topic, $60 million U.S. for aid to the people of Gaza, who are suffering because of Hamas terrorists.
So we sent $60 million. It's a lot of money for food, a lot of money that can take care of people for a long time. And we want to make sure it's being spent properly. And part of the spending is the distribution.
For these stories and more, visit the Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
When it comes to home improvements, don't fall for gimmicks. At Premier.
All right, folks. Hopefully that was helpful for you. I think we will. That was a good suggestion, Joanne. I think we'll look at a. How many? Just drop me in the chat. Just drop me an I'm in if you'd like a long form conversation podcast. Just drop me I'm in. Long-form conversation of the podcast with Josh, and we're just addressing these issues, situational awareness, and what to do down the road. Obviously, I'm going to put the links for his training if you want to reach out. I'll put those. I know he does training for individuals, but groups as well, church organizations. I know he's done some of that. And some other groups that want to get together. Don't attract attention to yourself with fancy jewelry and big SUVs or expect trouble if you do, Terry says. Panda says, my ex was a cop, never had his back at any door. That is always a very smart way to go. All right, folks, stand by just a second. Got to get back on the air here momentarily. Yeah, Andrew said, hearing Derek's side of the story and what happened, the attacker said, I believe he was under demonic oppression. You know, I would not doubt that. It is, it's easy to see that might be a scenario. Lots of people interested. All right. Guys, we'll schedule one out, record it, and then let you be able to come in and ask questions. I think that might be kind of interesting, especially if we recorded it at night. Got a chance to have more people in on the conversation. Let me think about that and how we can make that work for you. All right, stand by. Back on the air here. Here we go.
The left and people that don't like the president and don't want things to work. And, Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say, inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. This 3% with the market at new highs, and really we haven't seen inflation, go up back to 3%. Maybe it will this week. Maybe we'll see it. But none of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening. It's amazing.
Well, there's an important lesson there. Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager. That's what I would say. But in the end, Congress has their own reasons to point out certain things. And the Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success. We're seeing more horsepower. We're seeing better equities. Inflation really hasn't changed much in the last year or so.
That's CNBC this morning, in fact, a conversation that just took place in checking those markets, taking a look at what we're seeing on the screen happening right now. It is interesting, GDP reports, inflation reports, and all those numbers coming in. I like the a lot better than what folks expect. Plus, you have what is happening with the latest. Now they're awaiting a Fed decision. And so this could be a whole nother roller coaster ride altogether. You just never know the daily ups and downs. Well, the folks at Talon Wealth want to make sure that you are educated so you can sleep well at night and make sure that whether you want to retire today, tomorrow, or 10 or 20 years down the road from now, you've got exactly what you need. You're going to get to where you want to go when you want to get there. Mike Lester and the team at Guarding Your Nest Egg, Talon Wealth. You can reach out today at 616-661-1000 or go online to guardingyournestegg.com. That's 616-661-1000 or online at guardingyournestegg.com, and they will make sure they point you in the right direction. We've got a solid after show, speaking of which, coming up. All the stories we've talked about today in the stack. Will Jerome Powell lower those rates? The long rap sheet history of mental illness in the Walmart stabbing suspects past. We'll get to that. And a message from Moses. This is wild, but I saw this on that. We got to clear this in the after show on. A message from Moses that may prove the Bible is true. New discoveries. I think this was in Egypt, of all places, by the way. Let's get to it all in the after show, the show after the show. Coming up after this. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you being here with us. Make it a great one. God bless.
For our heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOT Grand Rapids, WOOT FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
Get up close and personal with the MTD CNC Network. Tony Gunn from the MTD CNC Network will be.
All right, here we go. Let's get into the after show, folks. Stand by. Oh, yeah, we do have a air quality alert. Air quality alert for today until noon. I think that's when the cooling off is going to start. Get some rain possibly on the way a little later on today, too. So let's kick it back. Let's get the after show rolling. Stand by. Here we go. Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Yeah, welcome into the after show. It's the show after the show. Never enough moments, never enough time to get to all of the stories. But we do post them daily in the stack. If you haven't gone to check out the stack, go to the justinbarclay.com. And you'll be able to view it all. justinbarclay.com/stack and get in. And, of course, as I mentioned, every story, and including the ones that we didn't get a chance to get to as well. There's a few of those listed inside our stack. Want to make sure that you have all the details about all the news and more. Some of it, as we're watching the markets this morning, waiting for what Jerome Powell and the folks at the Fed are going to do. Are they going to lower interest rates? Probably not. But the market awaiting still what he might say. And so you just never know. It's like it's sort of a game, you know? Sort of like a waiting game. just to see where they're going with it all. Anyway, I don't expect a lowering or anything like that happening today, but I do expect we'll get maybe a little more of a hint as to where things are going. Trump continuing with the pressure there. So we'll have that. Got some hilarious clips from Trump on that trip. He just came back from Europe. We got that. U.S. this ought to be, I would think anyway, ought to be alarming to a lot of folks. I don't know enough people are paying attention to it for it to make a difference. U.S. fertility rates hitting lows. Now again, this is very sad because we're talking about where we're going in the future of this country. Are we going to even have a country? I mean, you're talking about some serious scenarios. And, of course, not just the country, but also we're seeing it happen across the globe. Populations collapsing. Japan's on the other side of this, too, right now. And it's concerning for a lot of countries. And what's causing it? Is it just the ideology? Or is there something more to it, what we've all been exposed to environmentally, et cetera? All of that coming up and more. Thanks to our good friends Mike Lindell and mypillow.com/Justin, mystore.com/Justin. They help us get the job done on a daily basis. Mike's got great products, whether you're checking out the store at mystore.com/Justin. All the American-made products, and the mypillow.com/Justin as well, with the pillows and the bed sheets. I mean, you name it, galore. They've got it all. And I know there are lots of folks who are looking forward to Mattress Month. It's coming up at the end of the week. What is it? I'll explain it to you in the days ahead. But Mattress Month is on the way. You're going to want to get excited about this and get. Maybe if you've been thinking about shopping and looking for a new mattress, this will be the month for you, with all kinds of great deals and more. Former top Biden aide appearing before the House committee right now. We're learning, well, it probably won't hear much. There's an oversight committee hearing happening on the Hill. Is that today? I thought they were on recess. This can't be today. We'll have the story on that, too, coming up here in just a little bit. And some of those other big pieces that we mentioned. All right, let's start with this first and foremost. I don't know about you, but the U.S. fertility rate, as you think about it, you may have already had your kids. I've had a couple. Who knows? Maybe I'll have more. I kind of enjoy my kids. But at any rate, it doesn't matter what part of, your journey that you're on right now. This ought to be concerning to all of us. American fertility rate hits all-time low as Democrats clamor for foreign replacements. Now, isn't that the other interesting piece of this that I don't think a lot of people talk about? We've got to have folks here in this country. This is what they call the replacement theory. But we got to have people in this country, to make the economy work. We got to have people in this country to pay taxes. That's essentially the idea of all of that. And they bring in people that may not cost as much to do the work as you or I. And that was all part of, the thought process. But now you actually see it. The fertility rate plunging to a record low, just 1.45 births per woman, a little less than 1.5. Well below the replacement level of 2.1, according to new CDC data. The Blaze reports that while U.S. births fall for the 7th straight year, leading Democrats are doubling down on policies welcoming mass immigration to offset the population decline. Conservatives warn this signal is an intentional push to replace native-born Americans, pointing to rhetoric from Democratic lawmakers framing immigration as essential, sustaining the workforce. Critics arguing these policies ignore underlying factors driving the birth slump: economic insecurity, cultural shifts, and delayed family formation. And some of that, I've seen, some of the younger generation saying, well, I'm freezing my eggs. I'm going to get married and I'm going to get start having my kids at 40 or whatever it might be. Look, your choice is your choice. I'm not going to get in between you and your choices. I'll just tell you that I don't count on that. You never know where your life is going to go. You never know what's going to happen next. And you never know. You get down the road and you start to think about where did it all go? I just turned 46. I'm not having a midlife crisis or anything like that. But it's funny. I think to myself, where did the time fly? Where did it all go? In fact, my wife and I kind of delayed having kids. We were together with each other. We met. I met her when I was 30, and we waited. So I wasn't 40 until I had our first kid. In fact, I think I would have been 41, maybe? 41, our youngest. Now, men, it's a little different. Women, my wife, I think, 7 years younger than me, so she would have been 34. So that's still kind of late, though, in the terms of, like, when people have kids. My life, so focused on work and everything else, I didn't think I was just never right. The time wasn't right. And when we first met, the time wasn't right? That's just kind of how I thought about things. 10 years later, fly by. And then all of a sudden, you look around, you go, where did the time go? So we've got two, who knows, maybe we'll add another one so that we've got, we're adding to the population. Right now, we're just helping sustain it. But maybe we want to, some population growth, add another one in there. Who knows what the Lord has in store? But my point is, this is interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's something that I don't think, it's a very high level sort of idea and thought about how we need to proceed in times like this, and what it all means, when it comes to sustaining this country. Yes, yeah, but there you go. You're talking about the environmental impacts and issues. What about the shot? Somebody mentioned the shot. No doubt to me. I think some of these things have been engineered. I think they want, in fact, I think it's part of the takeover. I think they wanted America. At least I can see this being a possibility. They wanted America. That's a little more docile. They want Americans to be a little more docile. They want us fat and watching the TV, and then bring in people from other parts of the world that are easier to control. It's quite different. Quite different. In America, if you think about it in the scheme of things and how the world works, America is sort of that last domino waiting to fall. And as long as we're in the way, getting certain things done is going to be a problem for those folks. President Trump ratcheting up on Truth Social. It's time to indict Obama, the traitor, for treason. He's posted this and a number of other things, which I think is kind of interesting. In fact, I was looking at what's his name? The guy that does all the great cartoons and everything. Scott Adams, that's it. Scott posting, Trump is testing the public reaction and forming it at the same time. Step one, make the unthinkable thinkable. Scott has I would say he's one of the expertise levels that he has is being able to be an expert when it comes to hypnosis. And one of the things he's noted is that Trump is, whether he's doing it naturally. See, there's a whole different, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are a whole different levels to competence. There is conscious competence. In other words, you know what you're good at, and you kind of know why, right? Then there's unconscious competence, and you don't know. what you're gonna, but you don't really know why. You don't know how you do it. You don't really understand like how the that sausage is made. You just kind of get it. Like some people ask me sometimes, how do you know what a good story, a real story is, the truth or not? Sometimes I can't really tell you. I can look at it and see it. It's almost like, remember the movie The Matrix? And they've got the screen. The code is coming down. The green code is coming down the screen. And he can like pick things out, and he sees like, oh, that's this and that and the other. That's kind of how I just sort of like visualize it. That's how I see it sometimes. I can just see through it all. At least it feels like it sometimes. I don't know if it'll always be there. But that's what I call discernment. And a lot of times I believe, and that's just my faith part of it, like I believe that's probably the Holy Spirit. So that's conscious competence, unconscious competence, and then there is conscious incompetence. Look, I know I'm not any good at that. Like me. I'm not a ballroom dancer. I know I'm not any good at that. Most dangerous part is the unconscious incompetence. And that would be like you have no idea how bad you are at this thing and you think you're great, you think you're an expert. That's really dangerous. But my point in breaking that down for you to tell you is that Trump, Scott Adams has suggested from time to time, may not even know. He's not trained. He's just naturally sort of good at this. He may not even know just how good or why he is as good as he is at certain things. And it comes with how he talks, what he says, a lot of these things that drive some people crazy. By the way, it is it's triggering because of these things. Scott, of course, known for predicting Trump's 2016 win using persuasion analysis. He deals with a lot of that, persuasion, hypnosis, etc. Suggesting Trump's recent posts here accusing Obama, this is what Grok says, of treason are deliberate strategy to normalize extreme ideas shaping public opinion ahead of potential legal actions as supported by his 2017 book, Win Bigly, on persuasion tactics. Grok also says the accusation ties into a July 2025 Newsweek poll showing 64% of Americans follow Epstein file news and 67% suspect government cover-ups, hinting at a receptive audience for Trump's claims, though no peer-reviewed evidence confirms Obama's involvement in treasonous acts. Because that's Grok trying to hedge itself. Historical context reveals Trump's second term, now 100 days in, with a 40% approval rating per Pew, has seen him adopt aggressive rhetoric, possibly mirroring Democrat tactics, as noted by ex-user David Radman, amid rising public demand for transparency on high-profile cases. I just think it's interesting. It's this thought that Scott says, is he testing the public reaction and forming it at the same time? I think there's a lot of things that Trump does that he'll drop as test balloons just to see where people are. I do think there's a good deal of that is happening. It's really a fascinating situation, and I will say, I wish I could have a little more time to study it because I think there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening there that we may not even be aware of or think. Now I'm not like trust the plan, get the popcorn out, that kind of guy. That's not what I'm saying exactly. What I'm just saying is this is really interesting stuff. I find it to be fascinating anyway, personally, and I think there's a lot of this behind the scenes that ought to be. If you're interested in the world, if you're interested in how this all comes together, I think we ought to be taking a look at this. All right. Anyway, enough of the geeking out on it. Here's big news for the numbers again. CNBC celebrating this.
Up 3%. Up 3%, GDP. Better than expected. That would be the highest level since the third quarter of 24 when it was up 3.1%. On the consumption side, up 1.4, very close to estimates. Up 1.4 would be the best since the last quarter of 24.
Big GDP news. Democrats not going to be happy about it. Not going to be happy about this. But, of course, it is the news that you'll need to know. Now, what does that do as the Fed meets again today? I think what they're going to do is already baked in today. But we may hear more, in fact, coming up. Holy cow, here's another thing Trump just posted, but this stuff is popping up everywhere. On Truth Social, he popped up and it said this, advocating for term limits. Oh, no, I'm telling you, this is popular. This is another one of those trial balloons situation. I think he's just kind of tossing it out there, see just sort of how it might land. This is a big one. Look at this. No kings. How long has their reign in government been? In fact, he's just sharing a meme that's already been done, but I think it's worth it. Chuck Grassley, 50-plus years. Joe Biden, 48-plus years. Chuck Schumer, 44-plus years. Mitch McConnell, 40-plus years. Nancy Pelosi, 38-plus years. Bernie Sanders, 34 years. Trump, 4 years and 5 months. But Donald Trump is a king? Testing, and by the way, the meme actually says term limits on it. Is he testing? I'm just curious in the chat, are you in if you're watching Facebook, Rumble, if you're watching YouTube? Let me know, or X even. Let me know. Would you support term limits? I mean, I think it's a really good idea. I think there's a couple of things that we've gotten away from the original intent when it comes to Congress that I think would be very powerful. One of them is these people ought to be able to go, when we're talking about Congress, they ought to be able to go to Congress and then go home. In other words, you're serving and then you go back home, go back into the district. Don't get disconnected from the grassroots, from your feet on the ground, or where you ought to be. You ought to stay connected with those folks. Don't get disconnected from it all. See, D.C., and I don't know if you've ever been or how often, it is, to me anyway, it's like another world. In fact, member of Congress told me, and sort of a warning about how crazy it is. In fact, this individual I know to be very, very good. In fact, he is somebody who's taking a lot of steps to make sure he doesn't fall into some of those traps. But this person told me, he said, the thing about D.C., the thing about Washington, D.C., there's anything you want, you can get it here. And I thought, man, that's how they really in. Any vice, anything, any temptation. And so, in other words, why would we want our people to be there in that bubble, in the swamp, for so long? It's centralized. That's how you centralize power, really. It's how you centralize persuasion. That's how you centralize influence. Send them back home, number one. And you got a lot of them, like, what's her name? Slotkin, Alyssa Slotkin. She didn't really have a home here in Michigan. She has a place in D.C., and then she comes to Michigan and, like, stays in an apartment kind of thing. At least that's what I heard. I don't know. I heard she had this farm, but I don't know how real the farm is. I don't know. But that's not uncommon. We got to kick these career politicians out. So, yeah, term limits for me would be another piece, is that you don't stay in D.C. all the time. You should stay more time in your district, talking to the people, actually learning what it is that they want, learning about their problems, what they want to see happen. More time there than you do partying in D.C. And then on the other side of this, I would say that we should have term limits. And I don't know how long. Are you talking about, a House of Representatives 4 years, 6 years? Senate serves 6, so maybe they get 2 terms. I don't know. I think you have to I think you have to say, okay, you should probably spend no more than 10 years in D.C., but Senate would spend, gosh, it would be 12 years with 2 terms, right? I think we got to overhaul it all. I really do. We got to overhaul the whole thing because the way it is set up now, it's set up to completely reel them in the swamp. And it's not set up for the best interest of you or me. It's set up right now for the best interest of folks who are running big corporations and lobbyists and all of that. So that's an interesting thought. And I think one that I think you're going to see probably pick up some steam. I'll probably have to share that a little bit later on and see how folks respond and react to it. It's another one that's going to be massive. Hey, today the Fed is meeting again. We're going to see interest rates come down or unchanged or no matter what happens. The one thing we know is that in the uncertainty of all the times that we're facing right now, whether it's the push for digital currency or any of the other things that are happening with the economy and, of course, the shifting of it all, one thing remains the same, and that's time-tested principles of precious metals. They always turn out true.
I'm Dr. Kirk Elliott, founder of Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. After being in the industry for more than a decade, I knew there was a better way. It's an exciting time to invest in gold and silver with the most significant bull market I've ever seen, but please don't overpay for your stuff. At KEPM, we focus on low-cost bullion only, and we don't charge a commission when you sell. We would love to connect with you, so call our office at 720-605-3900
or go to goldwithjustin.com today. Yep, I got some more good news. I think I probably should get a couple of pieces more good news out before I get out. This is really interesting. A story that I found to be, I don't know, just stories after stories after story like this. Recently, especially anyway, that sort of prove through science that the Bible is real, that God's word is real, and essentially the characters in it as well. In fact, we know this to be a fact because Josephus is a historian. If you've done any digging into any of this, he's a historian. He's not a religious guy. He's not a Christian, but he's a Jewish historian who goes through and actually talks about Jesus, the man, during his time. I thought it was kind of fascinating to read some of this. But there are other pieces and parts. So, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls. We have all these things that are physical, right? Archaeologists in Egypt now have uncovered something quite mysterious, but quite fascinating. They call it a message from Moses. A message from Moses in ancient Egypt. In a mine, it could prove the Bible true, in fact, they're saying. Now, I've seen a couple of these before, and I think it's not just this one. There's another one that I've seen, too, that also, I think, bears out to be quite fascinating. Archaeologists have uncovered an ancient inscription referencing Moses, sparking headlines that could be the earliest biblical evidence supporting the Exodus. That is, of course, when the Jews left Egypt, right, into the Promised Land and wandered throughout the wilderness for 40 years, etc. The Daily Mail reporting the words were found etched into a 3,000-year-old stone tablet in the Sinai Peninsula near a route long believed to match the Israelites' journey. Scholars say the tablet, written in an early Proto-Hebrew script, mentions Moses and a deliverance from Egypt, while faith leaders celebrate the find as proof The Bible is historically grounded. Skeptics caution the interpretation remains under review and further analysis is needed to confirm. Well, I'll let you be the judge on the authenticity of it all. I've read this and I find it to be very interesting. Again, I'm not like a scholar. I went to the Museum of the Bible when I was back in D.C., and it is incredible. And the artifacts and the actually how far back they go with this. If you ever make it there, by the way, there's the cave there, 3,800-year-old inscription mentions his name. There's another one that there's actually a tomb of Moses that was uncovered. In Egypt, and they said it was supposed to be the tomb of Moses. In fact, it's in Egypt. They built it for him, but he was never buried there. I thought that was kind of wild. That's a story that I saw most recently, too. That's actually, there is something they have unveiled that they believe, uncovered, that they believe is something that was built for him. Again, he left Egypt, so he was never buried there. But all of this, historic findings and things like that, I think it's just wild. Now, you can't base your faith. You got to be careful about this. You can't base your faith on, science, because then if somebody introduces some sort of science or something to refute that very thing, your faith is built on science. It's not built on the thing that drives faith more than anything, right? Your belief. So you've got to be careful about that. But I do think these things are really, to me anyway, really fascinating. On how the world works, and probably a little bit of encouragement during all of the times and the things that we're going through. By the way, I think it's wild to watch it. All right, I've got so much that I didn't get a chance to get to today. It's kind of a different angle on our after show. Let me leave you with this, because I love him. Scott Jennings, let's leave you with the latest. Scott Jennings over on the PBD podcast with a message for Democrats.
Democrats, because of the Biden presidency, because they lied about Joe Biden's condition, because they lied to the country about the inflationary impacts of his policies, have dug themselves the deepest hole they've ever been in the history of their party. That's number one. Number two, cultural radicalism. I mean, when the hills you're willing to die on are boys and girls sports, paying for transgender surgeries of inmates, which Kamala Harris had in the last election. When you're willing to die on these hills, when you're willing to go and say Maryland man unfairly deported back to his home country, I mean, when you're willing to die on all these 80-20 hills, eventually your approval rating will wind up, I'm no mathematician, but around 20.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting there. And so this hole they've dug themselves in, like if I can't trust you not to put a boy in my daughter's locker room, why would I talk to you about taxation policy or inflation or tariffs or anything else? You're trying to put a boy in my girl's locker room. That's
right.
Why?
What a fascinating and what a great point. In fact, just one part of the piece of that podcast. We always love watching him in the clips. Now, I don't watch it live on CNN. I don't watch much TV at all. Certainly not live, but love me some Scott Jennings. Love getting a little bit of, and a fantastic point as always. All right, who shared today? If you did, congratulations. We're going to pick our winner here. Producer Adam pulling it up. Reposts, shares, etc. Going to win something fantastic for being a part of the program. We thank you for being here with us. Don't forget, yes, we have fantastic conversations after the after show. In fact, those are called the after party. For members in the Freedom Fam VIP, come on over and join us. You can do just that today, in fact. A quick one, but well worth it. $7 a month to jump in and get our secrets, show prep every day, all of that. All of the exclusives happening inside and behind the scenes and more. By the way, congratulations to Colin today. Colin, or Colleen, You are our winner. Thank you for sharing over on Facebook this morning. We appreciate you being here, and God bless. Hey, it's Justin. I got good news and bad news. The good news is it's a deal and a steal for you. The bad news is I missed out. Well, I just bought a bunch of bedding. I just bought a bunch of new pillows and sheets and things from Mike Lindell at My Pillow, and I didn't get this good of a deal. For a limited time, Mike is selling his pillows, the classic, $14.88. That's it. The My Pillow. The thing that started it all, just $14.88. He had one of these big box stores that canceled on him. You know how they do. Well, this is actually your win. It's a win for everyone. A win for Mike because he can unload the pillows at a great price. It's a win for you because you get a good deal, and you can help support this program at the same time. Get your pillows for $14.88 when you go to mypillow.com/Justin. Use code Justin at checkout. That's mypillow.com/Justin. And while you're there, shop for all kinds of great things. I love the towels. The best towels I've ever used in my entire life, because Mike's got all kinds of great goodies at mypillow.com/Justin. Do it today. Welcome to the world of Q Broadcast. Hey, it's Justin. It's the future of home entertainment. It's here today. Now you can say farewell to cable and other streaming services that limit your options and open the door to unlimited possibilities. Q Broadcast gives you the power to choose what you want to watch, when you want to watch, and where you want to watch your favorite shows. In sports, on up to 5 devices simultaneously. Q Broadcast brings together all your favorite streaming services in one place for only $2 a day. That's live TV, movies, news, and classic TV series. Pay-per-view for only $2 a day. You can't get a cup of coffee for that. That's Q Broadcast, and you can do it today. They make it a breeze for you and your family to find something you all love. You can take Q Broadcast wherever you go. Start watching on your phone and seamlessly continue to your TV, iPad, laptop. With Q Broadcast and the app, you can watch on any device, whether you're on the road or flying to your next destination. Q Broadcast is compatible with most streaming devices and smart TVs, so you can enjoy your favorite shows and movies on the big screen. And for all the sports fans, Q Broadcast offers your favorite college and professional sports from around the world, providing the ultimate sports experience. Q Broadcast is the future of home entertainment. So say goodbye to cable and the limitations. Embrace the endless possibilities with Q Broadcast. Upgrade to Q Broadcast today and start enjoying the freedom to watch what you want, when you want, and where you want for only $2 a day. Q Broadcast. It changes everything. Go to QWithJustin.com to